Also, Nick, a palm tree. Oh my goodness, that is actually so... That actually works. I have never heard that. I have never heard it being called a palm tree. I love it. It's canon. So it is said. So it is said. So it is. So is it be. Bonk. It's a princess palm tree. It works. I love it. Now. Canon palm tree now. It's canon. It's canon. Secretly, all the jig outfits like live in these weird plants. This one probably lives in a palm tree. Probably, most likely. I'm as tall as a palm tree. Oh, that is. Wonder what a palm tree house looks like. I live in a palm tree. All the jigs are canonically tiny. We're bugs. What kind of bug isn't tiny? Lobsters? It's now 10 feet tall? That's a lot of feet. Sniffer. Now, that's one of the dumbest jokes I can think of. It's great. I'm already exhausted just remembering everything that happened on that trip. What do you say if your people is caught in 4K? That actually sounds pretty wrong. I'm actually not a fan of that joke because of the connotations it might mean. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna acknowledge it. Nick is free to acknowledge it. Look. I don't know. I'm tired, okay? Now I'm confused. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Makalat siya. Welcome in, Kay. A bit of a recap from what we talked about so far, okay? I'm allergic to shellfish. I never actually got a really bad allergy until this workplace thing happened. Until this dinner happened. We were at the islands. That's a lot of this is all the context you need, okay? We were at the islands. I'm allergic to shellfish. I didn't know that sea mantis is a shellfish. Additional context, I was very, very exhausted. It was the last night of a very extensive, mentally and physically exhausting trip, right? So we were only supposed to have dinner, and the next day we were supposed to fly back home. And I wanted to be adventurous. I wanted to eat something I've never eaten before, but I knew I was allergic to shellfish. So the only thing they were serving, yes, Shai, the only thing they were serving were crabs, lobsters, sea urchin, boring fish. Like, I don't know what the fish was, but it was boring. Thank you for clipping. Oh my goodness, what is the... I freaking base my thumbnails after clips, if there are any. Oh my goodness, what is the thumbnail gonna be? Just a palm tree made out of feet. That's it. That's the thing in my brain. There's no escaping it now. Also allergic to crustaceans. High five! Let's go! But how bad is your allergy, Nick? Have you ever... what's the worst allergic reaction you got, if any? I hope none, but... If it happened, feel free to share. Anyone want to share their allergy stories? Like, absolutely feel free. I would like to feel not alone. Because legitimately, the only time I ever saw a full-on blast of a terrible allergic reaction was that scene in Meet the Robinsons, when the kid was trying to get himself adopted by showing off the invention and finding out that the guy, the father of the couple that was gonna adopt him, who had a severe peanut butter and jelly allergy, and his face and everything about him just almost imploded. But luckily the wife had like a syringe. It's an EpiPen, I think it's what it's called. No. It was just an anti-allergen syringe, I think, that she had to stab into him to ebb the thing. Please don't die to shellfish again. I didn't die! Oh my goodness, I know my lore is that all the outfits are an isekai story, but I didn't die. And you know what? Thank you. Nah, it's canon. All of the jigs die by freaking allergic reactions. There, are you happy now? I'm more deadly to dust, now technically allergic to humans. What? Like a pollen allergy? My crustacean allergy ain't so bad per se. Still can eat fine, but throat does close up a bit. The boring fish probably think, you think I'm boring now? Okay. It probably was. Actually, I should have just I should have just played it safe. This is why I'm so boring, chat, is because if I try to be adventurous, it leads to near-death experiences. It's amazing. Now, you almost, so please be careful. I do. I learned my lesson, never again. I'm still gonna try hiking every once in a while though. Probably every 10 years. So ideally I climb like 100 more mountains. Speaking of allergies, yes, Shy. Now, you have allergies? Share if you don't mind. And if you have any allergic reaction stories, like, feel free to share as well, if you don't mind. So, the ride back home, we were all shoved into a van like a can of sardines. It was a clown car coming out of it. But I was just listening, alright? I was exhausted. I just wanted to chill. I wanted to relax. If I could fall asleep during the ride, I would. Everyone was like talking, gushing over the food, over the guests, over over ways forward, like what happens next once we get back to the office, what are some expectations, yo, can I follow up on this and that, yo, can I, they don't actually say yo, but that's unprofessional, but you get what I mean. The stories are exaggerated for dramatic effect, okay? I only have a J6 PD, so I don't know if it's interesting or not. What the heck is a J6 PD? Where's my Firefox? G6 PD. Glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. Genase? Glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. I'm not even butchering this on purpose. Genase? Deficiency, also known as favism, is the most common enzyme deficiency anemia worldwide. It is an inborn error of metabolism that predisposes to red blood cell breakdown. Most of the time, those who are affected have no symptoms. Shortness of breath? Treatment: avoiding triggers, medications for infection, stopping offending medication, blood transfusions. Complications: anemia, newborn jaundice. Diagnostic method: based on symptoms, blood test, genetic testing. See, it's not interesting, but I have that. Symptoms are shortness of breath, anemia. Oh. Well, hey, look at it this way. No, stop, Jig. Don't go that way. No, don't go. No, I'm stopping you right there. You're not going down that road. No, this is an actual human being's experience. That it's not something to make a joke like that about. Shut it. Almost died once and went to the hospital. See? You don't make a joke out of someone who died once and almost went to the hospital. You're all right? Don't worry. That doesn't mean I can make a joke out of it. Like, it's just This is legitimately how I stop myself from saying something I will regret. I wish I managed to do it. I think I was 4 years old, I think. Oh my goodness, it's child trauma. That's even worse. I know I said I wasn't gonna make a joke out of this, but my tone of voice and actually talking to myself is what's making me laugh. You sound all right now, Shai. Like you're very active. You do like that karate thing you said about, and you do sports, I think. And you're actually, and based on your grades and stuff, you seem very smart. I guess you're just socially awkward. But yeah, you're doing great, it sounds. So I'm happy for you. What was I talking about? I left the hospital at 6 p.m. and still remember my past even though it's blurry. You remember leaving the hospital at 6 p.m. when you were 4 years old. That is a very early memory. Nice. That's interesting. I feel like I guess childhood trauma sometimes does stick with you, don't it? I remember like when I broke my arm. I remember a lot of bits and pieces from that time as well. And then absolutely nothing else from the remainder of my childhood. It left such an impact. Breaking my arm left such an impact on me that it just completely like derelegated everything else that happened in my childhood. It's not trauma, it was fear and anxiety that made me remember. Shai, what do you think trauma is? I'm really interested to see what you think trauma is. Yeah, take your time. I honestly don't know. No, you know, it's an impact, right? It's an impact. Sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's physical. Most of the time it's negative. Give me a second. We're going legitimate on this. We're going legitimate. Trauma meaning. K. Trauma. A deeply distressing or disturbing experience or physical injury. Wait, where was everybody? Guys, can you chat? I feel lonely even with Jig. Well, that's mean. Everyone's there. They're just listening to your story. Like, look, they're all scuttling about. See? I can tell which ones are which too. Let's see. This is Quid. See? This is Sticker. This is Nick. No, wait, this is Nick. Wait, who's the other guy? Was that Nickbot? Dang, was that Nickbot? Oops. No, this is Wait, that's Dingo? Holy crap, Dingo, you are kitted out. What the fudge? Huh? Wow. Anyway, that's Dingo, and this is Nick. Ooh, you guys have similar aesthetics. That's funny. That's Nick. Let's see. This is Nightbot. That's not an actual person. This is Stream Elements. That's not an actual person. This is you, Shai. Look at you. This is Tiffet. No, wait, no. That's Nick. Wait. No, that's me. This is Tiffet. Look at her. This is... Oh, gosh. I'm gonna out someone. It's Fancy! Okay. See, there's a lot of them here. Don't throw them. They're fine. They're durable. Y'all are durable. Y'all are made of tough stuff. It's how I know you guys can last in my stream. It's because y'all are made of tough stuff. I tend to make fun of people in a very joking manner, and a lot of people can't handle that, but you guys can. Because you're made of tough stuff. Yes, you're little jiglets. I get it. You're little tiny jiglets like me. But you're made of tough stuff. It's like I'm not sure actually. I'm not actually sure what's small and what's a durable tiny thing that's difficult to break even when you crush them. I saw Grubs going wee. Shai was sad that it feels like he was the only one chatting, but I went like, look, just because people aren't chatting doesn't mean they're not there. I even have a visual representation of people lurking, and I have the names on a timer so that I'm not always outing you guys for lurking. That's just me being respectful. If you want to lurk, feel free. I can talk for hours. Heck, I can't even finish my story because I keep getting deranged. No, wait. Deranged? No. Derailed. That's a different word. I still felt lonely, okay? Very valid. It's very valid. Aita, no. Welcome in. Wait, where are you? Where are you? You're white. No, that's friendly. You're white. Change it to a green. Turn green, Aita. Turn green. This is why you don't have Kinish. Did you ever get Kinish, Aita? There he goes. No, dang. Well, I bless you with the other green guy then. I don't think you want... Wait, do you even want Tainari? Speaking of trauma, explain it to me. Okay, so it's a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Now, you said you didn't get trauma. That's fair. Yeah, that's for you to decide if you felt trauma. I am not a therapist, and I do not decide on what you felt about certain experiences in your life. I got my Zhao to hit 97k though. Zhao for life. Oh my goodness, we have a Zhao, an actual Zhao main. Like, it's not even like I was a Zhao main when Zhao was hot and I benched him since. This is an actual Zhao consistent user. It's amazing. You never I think it as you got attention of the streamer all to yourself. Yeah, don't you want that? Oh wait, no, Shai doesn't want that. Shai gets very distressed when he gets stared at for prolonged periods of time. That's fair. I take it back. I never had a story. Now, here's the thing. I understood trauma as if ever there's like a very negative impact a very negatively experienced impact in your life that stays with you for the rest of your life, and sometimes you have to deal with it, and most of the time you need therapy to overcome it and at least attempt to live a normal life without the mental strain that you lug around with it. It was one time with Shilonen, okay? You sure it was only one time, Shai? Like, it feels like it sounded like that happened to you multiple times in your life. Okay, Jig, stop making fun of the kid. Maybe my trauma isn't getting Ryo. See, that's a great example. So, you work so hard for something. You grinded so much for something. You saved up so much Primo Gems for someone. And no, I don't have exclamation point bomb play talk. That's only for when I get raided. That's the only time that the grubs get to implode on themselves. Now, after all that hard work and you still didn't get Risley, heck, maybe you were at hard pity and what came home was your least favorite standard 5-star, and then you grinded some more and maybe you were at like 89 pity and still Risley couldn't come home, and now you don't have any more pity and you're free to play and there's no other source of Primo Gems in the game. You're not gonna swipe and Risley's gone. And that memory of loss, that memory of not getting the character, of all your hard work amounting to nothing, stays with you. It's not about the fact that Risley's gone. It's more about the feeling you had when it happened and how you continuously remember that feeling moving forward. And sometimes that's gonna be a lesson learned. Most of the times it's not emotional. The trauma I'm talking, there's physical trauma. It's physical injury. Google gave an example: rupture of the diaphragm caused by blunt trauma. I don't know if an allergic reaction counts as trauma, but the experience definitely made me avoid shellfish even more than I already was. That van ride home, squeezed like sardines together, and stepping out of it like a clown car. That ride home, my tongue was already feeling itchy. And I thought, that's strange. The last time this happened was the other week, actually. I ate a bad banana, but the last time this happened when I didn't eat a banana was back when I was a kid, and I ate that bihon with shrimp on it. And I didn't even eat the shrimp. I only ate the bihon. What's bihon in English, actually? Bihon. Oh, pancit. Huh. This is the food. Feel free to share, Shy, what you remembered if you don't mind. But this was the dish that I ate when I first learned that I had allergies to shellfish. I still eat bihon to this day. I just don't eat the bihon that has shrimp on it. When I see the bihon has shrimp, I avoid. Some bihon mostly has beef. I like those. I do pick away the vegetables though. I don't like those. But yeah. But when we got out of the van, clown car style, and we went back to our rooms, my tongue was still itchy. And then my hands, the palms of my hands specifically, got itchy. And everyone was like settling down in the room. I was sharing the room with like 8 other people, by the way, and we all had to use one bathroom. So they were all settling down, and I thought, okay, if I was gonna take a shower at any point of the day, it's either gonna be now while everyone's like resting, or later into the night when everyone else has finished using the bathroom. And I took my chance, went to the bathroom, like was ready to take a shower. But I had to like stop at the mirror because I was getting dizzy. I couldn't stand up like properly. My breathing was definitely labored. So, but I thought, oh, maybe the reaction from climbing from climbing that hill or mountain. It was a mountain, it wasn't a hill. When climbing that mountain is finally kicking in. Maybe I'm starting to get like an asthma attack from all the physical exhaustion throughout the day, throughout the previous days too. And it was just a lot of, okay, this'll calm down. I just gotta do my breathing exercises. Because I was very smart and forgot my inhaler at home. Asthma attacks aren't new to me. I get them every so often. I use them sometimes late in the night because that's when they appear. It's mostly when sweat dries on my back and it kicks in at night. Like my body just regurgitates whatever that sweat does to me, and it regurgitates as an asthma attack. And I have an inhaler. I have an inhaler. I'm very good at using that inhaler. And it's usually late at night. And I have it in my bathroom. And I usually take it on my trips. But the night before my trip, I had an asthma attack. I used the inhaler in my bathroom. And when it was time to go, my inhaler was still in my bathroom. And I realized that as I was having an asthma attack, 500,000 miles away. Well, back when I was around 8 to 9, I was at my older cousin's place with their older friends. One of their friends suddenly was constantly staring at me, and I felt kind of scared. After 10 to 20 minutes, their friend went up to me, then looked down at me like a maniac, then suddenly threw a water balloon at me, and then I cried. I then came out of my room for a week. Oh my goodness! Now that was a targeted attack. Holy crud. Pat pat. Pat pat, younger shy. Hey, at least you got your bath early that night. that's not okay. That was funny. Now, picture this. Asthma attack in a bathroom in a secluded island. And asthma attack in a bathroom at a resort near a beach in a secluded island with a very specific quiet nightlife. I started having difficulty breathing. Something that never happens when I have an asthma attack is difficulty seeing. And my tongue itching and my skin itching. And the first thought that popped into my mind was, oh, thank you for the drink, Tamago. We'll hold that thought in my mind. There it goes! There they go! I love it when it rains. In my chat. Ow. Going to alert guest star stream and hopefully triple crown GR today. Yo! Good luck, good luck, good luck. That's very... Oh man, that is so hype. A triple crown character. Thank you for popping in, Tiffet. I think that was my trauma. I just didn't want to be the target of something again. Valid. Now, what was I talking about? Last Inazuma character too. Yo! Oh, do you think they'll add more Inazuma characters? I feel like they're capping it at like 14, 15 recently. That might just be my thought on it. Since we canonically have like 14 badges on the Notland characters. I think it was 14. I think we counted 14 for the Notland characters. Then again, they could still add more and then just not include them in the scroll that we have to fill up badges for. Now, when I realized that something was off, it wasn't one thing specifically. It was all the things happening at once. When I get an asthma attack, it's always labored breathing, and I have to chalk it up to something that made me sweat, and whatever that made me sweat had me staying sweaty long enough for the sweat to dry on my skin. And that happened. That did happen. I did climb a mountain. I have been like running around taking pictures for a few days straight. I can pinpoint like, okay, maybe I sweated too much during those and the sweat dried and now the asthma attack is finally coming in. Asthma attacks don't include itchy skin or itchy tongue. And most of the time, for me at least, it never happened to me. My asthma attacks never gave me blurry vision. Blurry vision in the sense that the sides of what I see has this dark fading filter. Like it felt like my vision was about to like fade out. And the only thing I could think of was that maybe the sea mantis was contaminated with shellfish, because at that point I still didn't know that sea mantis was shellfish. And if I can have an allergic reaction to just bihon being touched by shrimp, sure, maybe someone used a spoon on the shellfish and used that spoon on the sea mantis. It was very plausible. But at that point, who am I to think logically? At that point, I needed help. The person that hit me with the water balloon was a girl, so it kind of made me feel scared of girls as well for a while. Ooh. Sad. Pat pat. at that, when I realized I might need more, when I realized it might have been an allergic reaction, I remembered the car ride back to the resort. A lot of them were talking about how one of our colleagues also had an allergic reaction and had to like bolt to find like medicine. The medicine's called cetirizine, and cetirizine. Okay, let's look up what cetirizine is. Don't want to start. Cetirizine, right? Okay, let's Cetirizine is a second-generation antihistamine used to treat allergic rhinitis, dermatitis, and urticaria. What? It is taken by mouth. Effects generally begin within 30 minutes and last for about a day. You should have an antihistamine on the pocket. Here's the thing. I am very good at avoiding my allergens. Tyria, welcome in. We're talking about allergies. And the one time I had one. The one time I had an extreme reaction to. I was very good. How exciting. Yes, my only horrific thing to talk about today. The thing about me is that when I know something's bad for me, I'm very good at avoiding it. I knew I'm bad with shellfish, so I avoided it like the plague. I have never eaten shrimp. I have never eaten direct shrimp, crab, or lobster my entire life. The only time I would have shrimp is when something I'm eating is cross-contaminated, and by then the only reaction I get is an itchy tongue for a few hours. I have eaten oishi shrimp. Where is it? I have eaten this. I have eaten oishi prawn crackers. I was fine. My tongue would itch for a few hours, but that's it. Excusable. Like, I have never in my life needed antihistamine because there was never anything I would eat that would need me to have an antihistamine. So of course I wouldn't be carrying antihistamine. But that's just a matter of fact. The inhaler I left at home though, that was my bad. I'll take the L on that one. Now, when I realized it might have been an allergic reaction from possibly whatever the cause, like maybe the silverware was contaminated, maybe the utensils, maybe whatever it is, maybe the plate, I don't know, but I knew I needed antihistamine. So I remembered that car ride back to the resort. One of our colleagues actually got a bad allergic reaction from some of the dishes. So I thought, okay, that should work. Maybe he has an extra. So I asked one of my colleagues outside the bathroom door who that colleague is, and where I should go to ask for an antihistamine. They weren't looking at me. They were busy, like looking at their phones. No one was paying attention to me. They were all like settling down, chatting. They all had their own things going on. I physically looked fine. My itchy hands were just that itchy. My labored breathing was internal, like I could still speak. So they replied, "Oh, it was this and that over at bungalow whatever number." So to put on a hoodie, didn't bother putting on a headscarf. I just raised the hoodie over my head and just tugged to keep and just made sure that my hair wasn't showing. Ran out, asked for the antihistamine, ran back, and well, as I was riding back, they went, "Hey, is that my name?" And I went like, my hoodie was so far down that they weren't even sure if it was me. I think it was just my voice that gave it away, but even then they weren't sure if that was me. That was already an indicator that my labored breathing and my voice were going. Went back to our bungalow, drank the antihistamine, and waited. Stayed in the bathroom for a bit, breathing, hoping, praying it gets better. When you get an allergic reaction, one one of the things that could happen is, okay, let me, I'm not gonna just run this out. Here we go. This is the word. When one of the major allergic reactions is anaphylaxis. Now, from here, it's a common medical emergency and a life-threatening acute hypersensitivity reaction. It can be defined as a rapidly evolving, generalized, multi-system allergic reaction. Without treatment, anaphylaxis is often fatal due to its rapid progression to respiratory collapse. The respiratory collapse is what got me. It almost got me, at least. Now, here are the symptoms. Itchy rash, throat swelling, numbness, shortness of breath, lightheadedness, low blood pressure, vomiting. I didn't get to vomiting. So that might have done me in, but I didn't get to that. Probably because my throat was swelling so bad that whatever chunks were trying to escape, it couldn't. Now, as I was hoping for things to get better, my vision was darkening. I was staring at the mirror in the bathroom, hoping for the best, praying that something would change or I would feel different. I was waiting for me to be able to breathe normally. I was looking at the mirror like wait, let me see. BTS mirror bathroom. I don't know. What? Nope. Where was it? Where's that scene? I have a specific image of V in my mind. Music video? No? Where was it? It wasn't a mirror selfie. Thank you for catching that shout out, Nick. V music video haircut scene. No? What? Is it not popular anymore? Is that why Google's not showing me anything about it? There was this, this one. So there was that one scene, oh my goodness. I wanted a specific video though. I wanted a specific picture. I can't find it. Oh no, anyway. There was this one, basically you're holding the sink and you're staring at the mirror and you have labored breathing. That was the image I was trying to portray. It was similar to how V was doing it in that one music video before he cut his hair, but I can't find it anymore. Probably it's because it's not relevant anymore. It's like a music video from before 2020. Oh my goodness, was it a music video before 2020? Holy crud. Oh my goodness, before 2020 was more than 5 years ago. I hate this. Anyway, that's the true horror in this conversation. Anyway. At some point, because I remember I was sharing that bungalow with 8 other people. At some point, hi Aura, welcome in. Speaking of noms, we're talking about my allergic reaction to sea mantis. I was sharing that bungalow with 8 other people, and we only had one bathroom. So at some point, while I was waiting and praying for me to go back to normal. Oh, thank you for the care package. Oh gosh. Holy crud, the rumblings. The thunders are rumblings. What was I talking about? At some point, other people are gonna want to use the bathroom. And they're not, and that bathroom was like tiny. You could hear it when someone has the water tap open. I didn't have the water tap open. I'm pretty sure I was quiet. And they've all heard my morning routine. I would have music blasting while I shower, whenever I bathe in public, whenever I have to share a bathroom with people. I wasn't playing music. The water was not running. I was just standing there, leaning into the sink, labored breathing, vision darkening, praying something would change for the better. Someone has to use the bathroom eventually, and they knock and they check on me. How much longer am I gonna be? Like, am I done? And I thought, yeah, I don't have to wait in the bathroom. I don't have to inconvenience them like this. I can wait outside. Yeah, that's fair. I don't need to use the bathroom at the moment. So I went out, and the person waiting for me, like, her reaction was incredible. She immediately went, "What happened to you?" And I chalk it up to my vision, like, darkening at that point. And she would later describe me as, like, red and blotchy. So that's probably the itchy rash finally coming into fruition. I don't know if I look like this. There was definitely swelling, but I don't know if it was at this point. Oh, maybe that's why my vision was darkening. It's because my eyelids were like swelling. Oh, now that wait. Oh, I'm just realizing this. That's probably the reason, wouldn't it? So they were surprised by how I look, reasonably perfectly valid. Like, she would describe me as red, and I would describe myself blotchy. And my breathing would still be labored. I still have difficulty breathing. I did take the antihistamine, but as we learned earlier, it takes like 30 minutes to an hour to take effect. And if you have anaphylaxis, that may be a bit deadly. You may not want to wait 30 minutes to an hour for an antihistamine to start kicking in. So I was having difficulty breathing, and when I tried to talk, I was having difficulty talking. And later I would realize that's because my body is swelling, and one of the things that were also swelling was my throat and airways, which means not only is it making it difficult for me to breathe and talk, it's also having difficulty bringing oxygen through me to my blood cells, which are required for my brain to function. And to, like, combat this lack of oxygen entering my body, my heart was going overdrive. It was beating a mile per minute to sustain me. It might have been the swelling, like, ruining my hearing, but I had difficulty even hearing what my colleagues were saying. I could hear my heart, though. It was thumping over and over and over again. Like, it felt like a storm in my ears. You know how you do that thing with the muscles on your ears and you just hear a rumbling storm? Imagine that, but for a heartbeat, working on overdrive. And somehow, some way, my brain connected so many dots, and as I do most of the time, where I skip so many things before I speak, and sometimes a lot of people would need context for it, I was only able to tell my colleague to, quote unquote, call my mom. A bit more context. Before I went on a trip, on this specific island, my mom also had to go on a trip to this specific island. Granted, it was like for a completely different activity because we work in completely different fields. Very similar. We work in very similar fields, but in completely different organizations. It just so happens that we were both in that area. My mom is a nurse. She brings my brother along because my brother works for her. My brother serves as like her assistant in a lot of ways. Like he mostly drives her around, but because they were on the islands, they didn't really have a car, so he works like to help her out for carrying heavy stuff and other things, because she has to bring around a lot of documents and stuff. Now, my mom's a nurse. That's very important to know. Because my mom's a nurse, I grew up like giving my entire trust to medical professionals. Pharmacists, doctors, nurses, if they're the one who ordered it, believe it. That's my Nindo. My Ninja way. Wait, what? My Nindo. My ninja way. I can't do a Rappa, but I do attempt a decent Naruto. Now, I'm actually bad at taking medicine. I have this mentality that I know the doctor said that I should probably drink my medicine 3 times a day for the next 14 days, but at like the 12 or 11 day mark, I'd feel like completely fine. So I just stopped taking the medicine altogether, and hopefully to save it for the next time I get sick, because that's very likely. However, when a doctor or a nurse says that I should drink this medicine and do this to feel better, I often do follow it immediately. Sometimes I'd get like really bad rhinitis, and my go-to is like a specific medicine, and it usually works for me in like 2 to 3 days. So yeah, when I realized that I was in debatably a medical emergency, some would say, maybe, the first thing that came to mind was that my mom's in the same place as me. She can make a more educated guess than I ever could. So my colleague took my phone, I just looked for my mom's name in my contacts, and I left the talking to my colleague. And my colleague was talking rapid fire to my mom, like what she's observing from me. See, she's describing me like probably red and cold and labored breathing, difficulty standing. I don't know. I'm not sure what she actually said, but later on she'd approach me, like after the trip back in the office, she'd approach me and go like, I felt so bad. She'd go like she'd feel so bad for my mom, because it felt like my mom was scolding her. Like my mom has a very strong reaction to things, but she's usually like more on the calmer side when she's in person. It's probably because she couldn't actually see me. The Wi-Fi sucks. We couldn't do a video call for her to actually have a visual on me. So if her voice was raised at the time, I couldn't tell, because at that point I could only hear my heart in my ears. Hey, at least I can hear it beating rather than flatlining. But wait, can you hear a heart flatline? No, you can hear a machine flatline. If a heart flatlines, you don't hear anything at all. I'd take the heart in my ears any day. Now, my mom was at a different resort. Same main island, but a different resort. So they needed some time to get to me. They didn't have their own car. It was very late at night. They were asking around. Her and my brother were asking around, like, what's the recommendation to get to where we were. She got the address from my colleague. They were asking around for how to get here, which would have proven difficulty, because everything like usually shuts down at a certain hour in that island. So there were like next to no public vehicles, motorbikes or anything similar at that hour. And it genuinely would have been difficult for her to get to me in person. But luckily, the owner of the hotel she was staying at was visiting the hotel that night, which was actually a rare occurrence. The owner apparently doesn't visit so often that he'd stay the night. If he visits, it'd be at day and he'd be off before nightfall. But that was one of the rare occurrences that the hotel owner would stayed the night. And when he heard that one of his guests was like asking around for a ride to the resort I was staying at because of the medical emergency, he offered to to take them. And he played chauffeur for us, looking for an open clinic to take me in, a hospital. And apparently there was only two. There was only two hospitals. There was only two open clinics. And one of them was closed. The first one we went to was closed. She got the hotel owner, she got my brother, they got to the resort I was staying at. She took a cursory look at me, decided we had to go to a hotel. A bunch of my colleagues took the van. A bunch of my colleagues took the van that we squeezed into. Only some of them. Not a lot of them like joined us. I wasn't even sure that a lot of them I didn't even know that a lot of them joined us. A bunch of them joined us to the clinic to make sure that I was okay. That was very touching. I was very touched by it. That was a very wholesome moment for me to realize that, oh, they care. Oops, sorry. And we drove around. The chauffeur knew the island well. I call him a chauffeur. He's a hotel owner. That's an amazing thing to be called. The hotel owner knew the island pretty well, and he knew two clinics that we could go to. The nearest one, the first one we went to, had the lights open. We could see the lights open through the glass doors of the entrance. But the glass doors were locked. The lights were open, but no one's home. We knocked. We looked around. No, they knocked. Not me. I was in the car, suffering. I was looking out the window, and I was watching the hotel owner knock and call out to people. He was using the dialect, so I didn't really know what he was saying, but he was calling out, and he was knocking, and he was looking around. The hospital lights were open, the glass doors were locked, and I was running out of time, so we had to move on. The next hospital/clinic was smaller. It was way smaller. It was like a 3-room building. It was a ways away. At this point, I was cold. Everything was itchy, but I was told not to touch anything. I wasn't allowed to scratch the rashes, so all I can do is just rub on them. Can you guys hear me when I do this? And that just rubbing on the skin kind of helped. It was mostly the labored breathing and the cold that was making things more difficult, though. The itching didn't help, definitely, but I was more conscious of the cold and the labored breathing. And, well, the heart in my ears were starting to grow numb. You know how you keep hearing white noise, and at the end of it, it just starts being quiet? Even the white noise is still there, but you're just so used to it by now that it's basically background music. That was my heart. It's still glad it was beating, though, don't get me wrong. I'm very happy that it was beating. We got to the hospital. They said they recommended I use a wheelchair, or if I didn't want to use a wheelchair, if I wasn't able to stand, someone could carry me, and that someone would be a complete stranger, a male nurse from the clinic. I would not have any of that. No one touches me aside from my family, unfortunately. So, took up the strength, sat on the wheelchair, let them wheel me in. I was wearing my headscarf, though. I did take the time to wear my headscarf. That's an important image. So they wheeled me in. They asked me to lie on the bed, which I did. I got out of that wheelchair and laid on the bed all by myself, shivering and cold and red and swelling and weak. And haiku. And my mom was by my bedside, just looking. And one of my colleagues, who was a local, spoke to the nurses in the dialect, and the nurses would ask questions within the dialect, and neither me nor my mom spoke the dialect, so we were just there quiet. And sometimes she'd turn back to us and ask for specific health history. One of them was that do I have any, well, what happened basically. And my mom would go, an allergic reaction, probably to shellfish. What did she eat? And this was the ringer, right? This was the ringer. The islanders know what sea mantis is. My mom knows what sea mantis is. Everyone and their cousin knew what sea mantis is. My mom went, she has asthma and she's allergic to shellfish. What did she eat during dinner? And they would turn to me. And I would go, in the weakest voice you could probably muster, from your throat closing up and your ears straining to hear the conversation, I would answer with hands raised, shoulder shrugs, sea mantis? And they would just look at me. And I try to defend myself. God forbid I not try to forbid myself. I'd go like, I didn't know it was shellfish. I kid you not. Those nurses and the patients in the other bed, part with only a curtain parting us from each other, laughed at my face. I was the definition of, in my brain, I was the definition of that peepo memes with that's like down on their leg. Do I have that emote? Am I still subscribed to Doc? Where do I look for it? Where is it? Like I can show you the exact image I have of it in my brain. Gosh dang it, I'm not subscribed. Wait, no, I am. Where is it? Where the fudge is it? This! I was literally that emote. Except, like, even more pathetic, maybe. I didn't know it. I didn't know sea mantis was shellfish, okay? Just because y'all islanders grew up with it doesn't mean I did! I felt like that. Like, everything else that happened aside, that was when I felt the most pathetic. Unavailable to load emotes? Dang it! Well, you can see it on stream. I'm very sure there's an original meme of it. I don't know what it's called. What is it? That's Cry? I don't know what the original meme for it was, but it was definitely a peepo meme. Now, they figured out I was allergic to shellfish. I had anaphylaxis. They can give me some antibiotics and I can stay the night, and they would observe me tomorrow morning on how I was doing. Reminder on the context, we were supposed to fly back home the next morning. So all the administrative stuff just flew in my brain. I am not staying on this island for another day. Could you imagine the paperwork on that? Not the paperwork. So they asked me if I wanted to stay another day or if I wanted to go home the next day. I wanted to go home the next day. So my mom made the my mom made the legal decision to load me up with antibiotics. They gave me a syringe. They got me on a dextrose, and then they kept needling. What do you call it? They kept stabbing my dextrose. What's the term for them, for when the syringe goes in the dextrose and they put medicine in it? They do that. They kept stabbing the dextrose for what felt like 20,000 syringes of antibiotics. And okay, let's look this up. What is the effects of getting loaded by antibiotics? Effects of antibiotics. Effects of antibiotics: nausea, vomiting, rash, irregular heartbeat, diarrhea, loss of appetite, itching, abdominal pain, indigestion, bloating, headache, tendinopathy, and a yeast infection. Really? Well, luckily I didn't have any of those. I just felt sleepy. I wanted something to confirm that you get sleepy with antibiotics, but no, maybe some of the antibiotics had narcotics. Probably that's it. Anyway, I just felt very sleepy. But I didn't want to go to sleep yet because I realized that if I went to sleep, someone was going to carry me on that wheelchair, and someone was going to carry me off that wheelchair into the van, and I was not having it. I will not allow it. So I kept awake. I stayed awake for as long as I could. And the nurses were still talking to my colleague who was a local, and at some point the doctor came. During that entire conversation, the doctor came. The doctor was out for the night. Like, he was supposed to like go to bed at that point because people need sleep, and he specifically came back to the clinic, pajamas and all. I say pajamas, it was like a slip-on pants and a shirt, and just so he can check on my situation. That was like one of this is why I just cannot with the medical field. Like, my mom was a nurse, and everyone was so convinced that I would also be a nurse. No, I cannot. I'm dedicated to my work. I am not a workaholic. Imagine being called out in the middle of the night to work. No. Labor laws. Well, for me at least. The emergency field, like, 07s to the emergency field, like, no one does it as amazingly as they do, but it's not for me. Now, at some point the doctor and the nurses started talking to my colleague who was a local, and they kept talking in the dialogue, and every so often I'd hear the word sea mantis. They'd look at me, snicker and giggle or smile, and then continue on with the conversation in dialect. And I was like, I'm never eating sea mantis again. Good luck on dailies and assignments, Kuda. And yeah, that was I stayed awake as long as I could. Talked to my mom a lot. Sometimes she would ask what they were stabbing into me. And the first time they answered, it was that certain tone where, someone very smart was talking to someone they know wouldn't be able to understand what they were talking about. My mom is a nurse. She immediately shot back with the technical jargon they were trying to throw at her, hoping it'd miss. No, she caught that very well and threw it right back at them full force. Like, now that made me feel better. We had the same flight back home the next day, so we met up. We did part ways once the antihistamine, once all the antibiotics were working its magic, and I was giving the go signal, the green light to go back to the resort. I got back up, wobbly and probably narcotic, and from all the antibiotics. Got on that wheelchair, was wheeled out of the clinic, and I saw and later on my colleagues will send a picture of them just lying around the benches outside because they couldn't all enter the clinic. And I would just feel so like bad that they had to go through that for me, but also I was so touched that they would go through that for me. They were just lying around, they were just waiting. It was a night, it was a cool night. I'm pretty sure the worst they had to go through was bugs, but the fact that they were there was so nice. It was just so good to know, and I really appreciate them for doing that, and or for just worrying about me in general. But yeah, I was wheeled out of the clinic. I got up when I was next to the van, got in the van. I got in the van. Mom and bro had to go back to their own resort because they were staying at a different resort with the hotel owner of that resort. they and they We parted ways there, and I got back to the resort. I immediately plopped down on my bed that I was using and managed to wake up just fine the next day. I was a bit groggy, I'd agree to that, but at that point I'd take anything. Anything was better than the night before. Got changed, got ready, and oh, I remember. I remember this now. I remember this now. Paperwork's aside, right? I wanted a group picture of everyone before we headed out. That was what I said when they asked me if I wanted to stay another day or go home that next day. I specifically said no. I need a group picture for the report. And at the end, I never actually got that group picture. Everyone was too scattered. Some employees had different flight schedules. Other employees were heading out a different location for different activities. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna get that group picture. So, boarded the plane, headed back home. And I still don't carry any antihistamine with me to this day. I'm still very good at avoiding shellfish, though. Now I know sea mantis is one of the shellfish I can't eat. That's always fine, though. That's fine. I'm not that chuffed to not be able to eat things. And that is the shrimp story.